What's up, guys, and possibly one or two girls. I'm sure the analytics say there's a couple of you watching these videos. Maybe it's just people on their mum's account. Who knows? But welcome back to another video. We are on a track that's been on my radar for quite some time now, and I've been very, very excited for the release. It is the MXC Training Facility. This is a track created by Fabian, or he's also known as MX_clip on TikTok. He's posted a lot of teaser, like pictures in media channels and various TikToks around here, and it's actually been delayed, the release of it, a little bit for a while now, simply because he decided to not have a working PC at all. So it's all back and working now. It's been submitted to the shop for approval, so it should be out in the next day or so. It looks very, very pretty, and I love all the teaser videos that I've been seeing. I'm very, very excited to try it out. And I'm also going to be riding one of the new OEM 250 four-strokes today, which I've never tried before, as he did say to me that the bike is made for either the 150 factory bikes or the 250 four-stroke OEM bikes. So to try and get the best experience possible, we're going to go with what he says. Some of these jumps look absolutely incredible. I love the way that it all kind of weaves in and out of each other, gives like proper free ride vibes while still being a motocross track at the same time. Let's see how it goes. If you've been putting off buying that new MX gear, or you're just looking for some new daily MX related clothing, then head on over to fxrracing.com. Code MXPR_Lins15 at checkout will give you 15% off all motocross and lifestyle products. This code is applicable to the European, Swedish and Norwegian websites, not Canada or the USA. And whilst I've got your attention, you may as well subscribe to the channel. It's just one click of a button and it puts a big old smile on my face. Hope you enjoy the rest of the video. I've not actually ridden one of these OEM 250s yet. Oh, hang on, what does it sound like? Actually sounds alright. I quite like the, as it comes down from being at the top of the rev. That sounds quite nice. So very nicely he's put the norms on the track so it faces this direction, telling me that I believe we're going to be going this way. So wish me a little bit of luck. As always, I'm going to do this as, first thoughts, which could be difficult when it comes to tracks like this, because it looks like a lot of the jumps are kind of like hip jumps or off cambery slightly, blind takeoffs. So I'm a little bit nervous that I'm going to be jumping off the track a few times, but that is the beauty of editing, is we get to cut all of those mistakes out. So it looks like I'm actually good at the game and know what I'm doing. I think, based off the first two jumps, I think we're going to have to be hitting everything as wide open as possible, because I've not scrubbed anything and they're a little bit of a stretch. Some bits of track look very, very wide and then it narrows up in certain places. It looks very man-made, but it also gives me like, not 100%, but kind of like the Red Bull Imagination vibes, where it's almost like a pre-laid out circuit with jumps that you could hit in a specific order. Obviously, this is a lot more strict than Red Bull is. They have a little bit more freedom to make up their own lines. So far, so good. There was a little bit of sand back there. I'm not sure if that was to try and make it like a sand roller section, or if it was to slow you down slightly, please. Oh, that's actually quite a good idea. I was worried then that if I crash, oh my god, we're so high. If I crash, is there any way that we're going to be able to survive and get back into a rhythm again? But he's actually built like a different line, like a low line, so you can get your speed going. So very smart idea. I like the little bit of foliage we've got going on top of the jumps. That is not a long track by any means. This has not taken me a long time to get around it at all. But it's very, very pretty, very unique. And for a first track, I'm actually really surprised. I'm not sure what his background is prior to this. I'm not sure if he has experience making tracks in any other games, or maybe he just knows his way around a computer and he's handy with the programs needed to make a track both look good and flow good. No clue how long this has been worked on for, but in terms of the jump sizing, I think he's got it pretty bang on, you know? So I'm not kind of scrubbing jumps at all, but it's also not to the point where I have to check up. It's kind of just the right speed for me to throw a semi-decent whip and still downside it, no problem whatsoever. Let's try not to case this one again. Let's try and send her butt. Yeah, yeet. Please downside it. Please downside it. Lovely. And then, oh, you can kind of scumbag it and go inside, jump to the outside. That is a very satisfying little split lane there. The 250 does struggle a little bit getting up that hill, but thankfully it's not the biggest of jumps. The one thing that actually is quite handy there is where the landing is just a massive downhill. You can get away with over jumping it by quite a lot without like flat landing, I guess. The downside is huge. Oh my goodness. Love this. I think this is very, very unique. It kind of gives me similar vibes to Tangled Web I think, where that jumps over itself and wraps around. And off the back of my farm video the other day, got lots of people commenting about the whole track building idea by getting different track creators to have a topic and let them all do their own interpretation of it. Now, one idea that I had thrown out their way is a crossover track. So whether that's as simple as a figure of 8, if it's something a little bit more in depth like this, or like Hurren's Tangled Web where it jumps back and forth multiple times, or if it's as simple as a supercross track with an over-under section. I feel like we don't have enough tracks that do that in this game. Now, there's obviously a few reasons for that. Some of them, I imagine online lobbies would be very disgusting, with lots of crossing over if there's a chance of bumping into people. Other than that, the other issues that you get is if you use Max HUD, which I have uninstalled again, you might notice with the lack of information on the screen. Anytime you hit like a part of the track where it crosses over, the delta will start going down, so it will constantly look like you're behind on your best lap time, even though you might not be. That happens in Supercross on every single track that has an over-under jump. Very, very frustrating when it comes to trying to set qualifying laps. But the game is the game, you know, it is what it is. There's only so much you can do about it, and I don't think that should limit track creators in any way, shape or form. I think they should be able to step outside the box a little bit and do something a bit unique and a bit imaginative. In terms of the Max HUD, I said that I turned it off. Reason being is we had the qualifiers just the other day, round 1 of qualifying that is, for the LAN event, and it went really, really well. If you haven't seen the video, you have about 2 seconds to click off this one and go and watch it before I spoil it for you.
Why did you wait for the countdown? Did you want to see men kissing? You like men. You like kissing.
I got 3rd overall. I think I went 3-3 in both the motos. Dorian won one of them and Cam won the other one. So they're both on 47 points. I am on 40 points. And I'm not sure what the gap behind me is. I think there was a little bit of movement going on behind in terms of people's positions. Oh my. But overall, I thought that the qualifying actually went a lot better than I expected. I definitely didn't put in the time that I should have put in to go fast enough. So to come out there with a 3rd compared to people that I know had been putting in a good amount of time and effort into really learning the track, I was very satisfied with. I was really, really happy with coming out of there in 3rd, especially when I was running laps prior to the actual race and I'm sitting there like, oh god, I'm 2 seconds off pace, it's so far behind, what am I going to do? But then come race time, my race pace was a lot closer to the top guys than qualifying pace was, but kind of sounds like the same old story as always, to be honest. But I do firmly believe I would be a lot closer in terms of overall speed if they weren't on pre-release tracks. That's always been my mentality, say on the track there. I'm not the biggest fan of races and events that take place on tracks that have been out for a very long time. It always used to be like that back in the day, obviously, before we had dedicated track builders to make new tracks each and every week. But we're very spoiled now. If you was never about in like the beta 15, beta 16 days, the amount of times that we raced on the old Baja or like the old Red Bud, etc., it was crazy. So everybody knew the tracks like the back of their hands.
Hey, that's new.
Like they'd played them so much, the competition was always so much closer. But I'm a massive fan of the format of getting the track 30 minutes before racing. It lends itself really nicely to me. I believe Reese is in the same sort of boat there. Can I quad this if we stretch it out? Oh, that's greasy.
That's really fucking greasy.
That was so nice. Oh, yeah. I'm really enjoying this. This flows so well. Yeah, that format really suits me. It seems to suit Reese a lot as well. He really struggled for the qualifying, so I'm going to have to go on his case, get him to grind a little bit. Otherwise, who am I going to hold hands with on the flight to Italy? Who am I going to be able to smooch in the evenings in the hotel room? Because I can tell you, it's not going to be my girlfriend. No, she sits at the edge of the bed, and no involvement at all. It's just going to be me and Reese, you know, head to toe with each other, and it should be a good time. If nobody understood the reference that I'm... Please. Please. Oh. Okay. Right. I'm just not even going to try and explain that. If nobody understood the reference that was made in my qualifying highlights video, if you made it to the part of the video where there was discussion of ladyboys... and China. That is because Rum is unable to do the LAN... Well, he's able to do the LAN qualifying, but he's not able to go to the actual LAN event, so he's not bothering, because he's away in China with family. So that's why we made the joke about the Ladyboys. But big shame. I would love to go away and be there with people like Reese and Rum. I feel like it'd be a good time all around. If only Charlie was good enough to be qualifying, I feel like that could be a good time as well. But I'm very certain I'm going to qualify top 10 at the end of it all now. The first round was the one I was worried about the most, because I hadn't spent as much time on the OEMs as I think I should have. But as the weeks go on, I'm just probably going to get more and more comfortable on them. And I got a little bit of backlash, you know, by some of my comments in that video. And I'm not sure the best way of explaining it, but if you was to sit me down and say, you know what, if you can win on OEM bikes or you can get third on factory bikes, I would probably still say I would prefer to ride the factory, and it's just based on feel. You know, everyone's allowed different opinions. You're allowed to like the OEM bikes. I'm not telling you you're not. But a lot of people were upset that I got third place in the qualifying, but I was still saying that I wasn't enjoying it and wasn't a fan of the bikes that I was on. You're allowed to do that. It doesn't make any difference for me. My speed on both bikes is pretty damn similar. I done a race the other night with people like Dad Shoes and Reese and Aiden and Rum, etc. And half of us were on factory, half of us were on OEM in Supercross. And it was really, really close. There was no standout. There wasn't one bike that was massively faster than the others. But just in terms of how the bikes feel, I prefer the factory, and that's just going to be my opinion at the end of the day. So if you don't like hearing me saying that, or if you don't like hearing me have a little moan now and then, but you should always do what you're good at, and I'm very, very good at complaining, so I do it a lot, then there's plenty of other people that are going to pretend to be someone they're not, pretend that some bikes are good when they really aren't. That's just how it is. But I'm not going to be a broken record. We're not going to turn this into an OEM versus factory video every single time. The game is the game. We're going to play what we get given. Whatever races are on one set of bikes will do. Whatever races are on another set of bikes will do. And that's just it. And we'll just play. We'll have a laugh. We'll moan from time to time. And that's what MX Bikes is all about, isn't it? It's about hating it, but then being so addicted to it that you keep coming back every single day anyway. I have been waffling for about 12 minutes now. I don't know how much this is going to be edited out. Obviously, I've got trying this new whole editing style now with the memeage and the overlays here and there. Just try and keep things a bit more entertaining. Got a lot of feedback, a lot of I guess positive feedback on that first video on Farm. And there was one or two people that really disliked it. However, I'm going to have to try and side with the majority on this one, because it was, in terms of like comments that people actually wrote about the style of editing, it seemed to be like a 95% to 5% split on like versus dislike. So I am sorry for those few that aren't a big fan of it, but it might be here to stay. At least until I get to those days where I'm really rushed and really out of time, but you know, it is what it is. And also, you might have noticed the upload times have changed slightly. If you're not part of my Discord, you should definitely join it. The link is in the description of this video and every video. I put an announcement out saying that I'm changing the upload times. So whatever the time used to be for you, because I don't know the US time zones off by heart, it used to be 8 AM in the UK. It's now 4 PM in the UK, 5 PM in most of Europe, and wherever you are in the US, just add 8 hours on to whatever the time was for you. So if it was uploaded at 2 AM, it will now be 10 AM, for example. And the reason for that is I'm just experimenting a little bit, because I feel like when it's uploaded at 2 AM for the Americas, most people are in bed by that time, and most people in Europe are either already at work or getting ready for work or school. So probably not that much interaction or people watching it straight away. However, if I upload it at 4 PM my time, all the kids will be back from school, because they usually finish at about 3 PM here. Most of Europe will just be finishing work and getting home from work, and then America will just be waking up or just on their way to work. So I feel like it's definitely made a difference. I've only done 2 videos like it so far, but they've both been received quite well. Like, especially in the beginning, first few hours, the views are really good. I've had a 1 out of 10 and a 3 out of 10 in the first couple of hours, which always brings a smile to my face. So we're going to stick with it for a while. It might be the new time. If it's just by chance that these 2 have done well, when it starts going downhill, we'll revert back to normal. But I always like experimenting and trying some new things here and there. I have to say, I've been a little bit quiet about the track itself, but that's usually a good thing, because that means I have no complaints. I've just been spinning here, sitting here, running laps. We're on lap 8 already. Yeah, it's not a long track by any means, but it flows so nicely, and to the point where, even though the jumps are blind, they feel quite natural. That I feel like the track rides in a way that makes sense as I completely wad my brains out. It's like it takes you the right way. The jump faces go in the right direction. It's not a case of the jump faces straight and the landing's off to the side, so it really throws you off. So even though they're blind,
Are you blind? You can't see me.
the distance and the sizing of them is good. The track is very wide, so if you do make any mistakes or jump a little bit too far one way or the other, there's plenty of room to make up for your mistakes. And I think overall, it's really fun. I imagine there's going to be quite a few edits on a track like this, because a lot of jumps you can get quite filthy on, try and hit some oppos, which I'm very bad at, so I do apologise. But I think from the videos, the TikToks that I've seen and the pictures that I saw of this track as a whole, it really has lived up to the expectations that I had set in my own head. And I really do want to say a big old thank you to Mr. MX Clip for even blessing me with early access to this one. And I can't tell if it's because of how wide open the track is, where there's not loads of like super sharp bumps or really tight, slow-paced corners, or if it's the 250s as opposed to the 450s. But this OEM bike hasn't been too bad.
Wait. Go back one.
What do you say?
OEM bike hasn't been too bad.
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening!
Linz complimented OEM bikes.
It's a procedure!
It's the new Gas, which I'm not sure if anyone's really covered just yet. I'm not sure how much about the model was changed outside of the plastics, but I do prefer these handlebars over the other Gas handlebars. These ones are a lot flatter, whereas the ones on the 2023 model, they've always felt a bit like chopper bars to me. So even if the bike rode well, which I don't believe the 2023 one ever did, I think the suspension on it was an absolute nightmare. Even if it rode well, I probably would never have ridden it just from the sake of how the cockpit looks. And I'm definitely one of them people that I have to like how the bike looks in first person to feel like I can ride well on it, which is something that whilst riding this TM 450 for the LAN qualifying, I've had to really try and get used to it, because the bike looks so like skinny. It looks really thin between your legs, but there's just personal preference at the end of the day. Overall, it's not a bad model by any means. I always do like a fat bar on my bikes, which is probably why I'm such a slut for the factory bikes these days. I think their cockpit views always look very pretty, but not as pretty as this track, I don't think. I'm actually blown away by this. I'm obviously going to do a little bit of tweaking to the colours and stuff in the editing process as a whole. But even without it, I feel like the greens are very green, the sky is very blue, and it's quite bright. It's very appealing on the eyes, and I can see why. I guess if MX Clip has taken it from a perspective as he wants a track that will do well on TikTok that looks good, it does give really good free ride vibes from the clips I've seen, and he's very good with editing, to be fair. He adds a lot of effects to his videos and makes it does look really realistic, so I have to give a huge shout out for that. And if I remember, I will actually link his TikTok down below. A lot of his videos too pop off like 50k plus a lot of the time, so I respect the hustle, I respect the grind. I've dabbled in the TikTok scene a little bit myself from time to time, and sometimes it's good, sometimes not so much, but for the most part it's quite difficult to get things to pop up on there. Every now and then you'll just randomly be hit with a video that does really well. Like I have a video of hitting the Rocco's Leap on every single 85, which, by the way, slap on the wrist for me. Bad bikes, don't use them. But that got like over 300,000 views. And then I've got other ones on there that's more like, I guess, satisfying onboard laps or two-stroke ASMR, and they get like 2,000. So it's hard trying to get a winning formula, but he's doing a very good job. So thank you very much for letting me play this track early. I appreciate all of you that have been very supportive over the last couple of videos. I really do mean it. It means more than you can ever imagine. So keep up the good work, keep on supporting me, and I'll keep on throwing content your way. I have nothing else to say. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Enjoy the new outro. Catch you guys next time. Peace.